Okay, we are recording now. So we're waiting for the rest because today we have two very important things to do. Okay, one, we will check the oral part or the speaking part of the test and also the listening. Okay, so it's important for me that we can cover and you can get an idea of how those parts of the test work. We have worked a lot in your Achilles heel, that is writing and grammar, but we also need, well, I need you to know how the speaking part works so that on that day you don't feel nervous. Okay, it's normal to feel nervous, but the more you know of the exam, the more you know what to expect, the better you can react. Okay, that's the idea. So, before we start, you were supposed to send me some homework. I got Letty's homework. That was the only homework I got. And that's it. So if you can send it later, it was an essay, okay? And Arely said she would send it now. So if you can send it, perfect, okay? All right, so last class, we were practicing listening. We were practicing for some part of the test on which you have to interact with another partner, okay? Today, let's check more, okay? We're going to take a look at how the speaking test works. So this is what you need to know. Usually the speaking takes up to 15 minutes per pair of candidates. This means you work with someone else in this part, okay? And there are 4 parts of the test, not 1, 4. And pretty much is going to test your ability to communicate effectively in face-to-face situations. Okay, you will take this part with another candidate, all right? Usually you don't know the person because on the day of the exam, there are different people that you don't know and they say you, and you come to the speaking test, all right? Last class, we were checking this, okay? And I want to start with the part 1, which lasts 2 or 3 minutes. So what I'm sharing with you is usually the questions you have or you receive on the day. And I remember some of you asked me if we could do it today. The answer is yes, we can simulate the test, okay? So the idea is number 1, to get to know it, and then we can simulate the test, all right? In the first part, usually takes 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It's very easy. The examiner introduces himself or herself and asks questions, all right? Pretty much the person says, my name is, and this is my colleague, and we will be your oral examiners, because there's more than one oral examiner on the test, okay? And then he or she asks for your names, okay? Sometimes they also ask for a surname. Now, I want you to get familiar with this word because we usually say last name, but they are British. So if they say surname, it's the same as last name, okay? So don't panic, surname is last name. Okay, so what would be your surname, Armando?
Sanchez.
Oh. Sorry?
Sanchez.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Exactly. Excellent. All right, that's surname. And then the person asks for your mark sheets. You hand in your mark sheets, and then he or she would say, first of all, we'd like to know something about you. And then the person will ask questions. You don't see this. You don't see this because this is the guide or the sheet of paper the oral examiners have, okay? So you don't see the written questions, you just listen. Questions are pretty easy. The questions are usually simple. Where are you from? What do you do in that city? How long have you been studying English? What do you enjoy the most about learning English? Okay, so the suggestion here would be to be natural and just answer the question. Okay, well, try not to give yes, no answers. Try to elaborate a little bit in your answers. Okay, so that you show more domain. So let's practice this too, okay? The first part, if I were to ask you, Letty, if I were to ask you, where are you from? What would you say?
I would say from Toluca, a city located near Mexico City, which is the capital of Mexico. But in that case, it's not necessary.
Excellent, but you said, well, I'm from a city called Toluca, which is near Mexico City. You're elaborating on the answer and you are giving extra details. I don't know if you will get oral examiners that are from Mexico or not. It varies. Okay, so it's always interesting and useful to give more insights in the answers. Okay, also if you just say, where are you from? Toluca, that's not very well seen, right? It's better if you give at least some sentences in the answer, even though the question is simple. Okay. All right, and if the person asks you, Constanza, how long have you been studying English?
Well, I started in learning English since I was a kid at school, and then I at elementary and high school, and then I lived for a year in Denver, and then I am here learning more English.
Very good. Okay, so when you said you lived for a year in Denver, you can mention that way you also practice your English for a year. Very good. Okay. What do you enjoy most about learning English? Okay, who's here? Gloria, how would you answer this question? What do you enjoy most about learning English?
Having the opportunity to see the world from a different perspective, because when you learn a language, you not only learn the language, but also a culture. So that's something that I really enjoy about being bilingual.
Okay, excellent answer. Okay, as you can see, the questions are not too difficult, not these first ones. Okay, so you just have to be you have to be yourself and speak naturally. The suggestion in this part is just don't be so nervous that you just say one word or two words. Try to elaborate a little on the answer. And then it says, for me, select one or more questions from the following as appropriate. So I would ask any of these questions to you, and important, as you can see between parentheses, there's a why, how, or why not question. Okay, sometimes we have between parentheses, tell me more. If the oral examiner says, tell me more, it means you should continue talking about that. All right, so let's try to practice the answers to these questions. For example, Jasmine, what free time activity did you most enjoy?
Well, when I take a meditation class with my yoga teacher on Tuesday at 7 a.m. at 8 p.m. We connect to Zoom and make an 1.5 hour of meditation, and that's part of my day, of my schedule. It's important to me because it's a time that I spend with myself.
Okay, very good, very good. So here, since you already told me why you like the activity, I want to ask why. Okay, you see between parentheses when the person says, oh, I enjoy meditating or having meditation classes, then I can ask, oh, why, or tell me more. But since you gave me the whole thing, then I don't need to. Okay, excellent. All right, Areli, what sort of work would you like to do in the future?
Well, I'm currently a teacher, but in the future I would like to work in an educational department. Maybe I would like to apply for my current school to work as a vinculation or orientation department for my students. I think that it's an important area where I can develop my own skills and help others, for example, my students, to find a new work.
Okay, very good. Why
good
would you
job.
like to work there?
Excuse me?
Why would you like to work in that department?
Because I think that school must manage different strategies in order to take the students to their professional areas. And I think that I have the expertise to help them according to their abilities to find a new job or a new university, because we're working with high school students.
Excellent, Arely. So this is what you can expect. Okay, you gave the answer, you already elaborated on the answers, and maybe the person asked, but why? Why in that department? Then you have to give your reason. So whatever your answer is, you have to be prepared to explain deeper. Okay, so let's do one activity. I'm going to divide you in groups, okay? Well, in pairs, and I want you to practice these questions, asking each other, including the why or why not. Okay, because if I do it individually, it takes up more time, and one answers, the other one doesn't, and get distracted. So let's do it in pairs, okay? So I'm going to use the breakout rooms. Please take a picture of this part, from what free time activity until who do you think has had the greatest influence in your life? These are the typical questions, so it's convenient that we practice them, okay? I'm not saying don't expect any other question, yes, because this changes, but these are the most typical, okay? All right, let me form the breakout rooms. Just a sec. Okay, so I'm going to assign Arely and Armando, you are in one room. Then we have Constanza and Jasmine. Okay, Bere cannot participate, so I'm not going to assign her into a room, or she can be there, but silent, I think. So we can have Gloria, Leti, and Ismael, the three of you, okay? And Bere, I can assign her, all right? So I'm going to open the rooms. Did you take a picture? I'm going to be joining the rooms and you tell me, and I will check when you're ready to continue, all right? But practice all the questions. Constanza, can you join? Okay. Bye. Ready? Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back. Did you guys finish?
Yes.
No, some say yes, some say no. I thought it was enough time, but pretty much this is how we practice for these tests, okay? So the more you get familiar with the questions, the better. All right, this is part one. As you can see in part one, it's not very difficult. They ask you, then they ask the other person, that's it, okay? Part two, let's analyze how the part two is, okay? I'm going to read this one for you. It says interlocutor. In this part of the test, this is what we say. In this part of the test, I'm going to give each of you 3 pictures. I allow you to talk about 2 of them on your own for about 1 minute. And also to answer a question briefly about your partner's pictures. Okay, and then we say, it's your turn. Candidate A, here are your pictures. They show people doing things together usually. So you have 3 pictures, important. You have 3 pictures, you have to describe 2 for about 1 minute. You talk for about 1 minute. You will be surprised how much you can say and how much you can talk in 1 minute. So the way you can practice for this is timing yourself up a little bit, okay? And then it says place part 2 booklet, open task 1 in front of candidate A. Okay, I like you to compare 2 of the pictures and say why. This is the question. See, at the beginning it says talk about the pictures for a minute and also answer a question briefly about your partner's pictures. The question would be, and say why the people might be doing these things together and how these people might be feeling. Then the candidate A talks, okay? And then the oral examiner, when you are done talking, candidate A is done talking for 1 minute, then the oral examiner usually says, okay, candidate B, in which situation do you think the people benefit most from being together? You answer, why? And now it's time for B, okay? And pretty much the same. Okay, then they ask candidate A. So how? Okay, check. They will show you pictures like this, for example. Okay, so they will give you 3 different pictures. Okay, if these were your pictures, then you would have to talk about 2 of them. All right, so for example, imagine we're doing the oral test, Jasmine. Talk for a minute about 2 pictures. I will time you. Okay. These are the 2 pictures. You decide.
Okay, I choose the picture number 3, where the boys are, I think, practicing playing some instrument. Maybe they have a group, a rock group, because I think no, because I like that kind of music. Or probably they are in a school, musical school, and they are friends in a course or something like that. They look happy because I think it's an activity that they enjoy for extra classes or something like that. So they look happy and interesting in that they are in what they are doing. For the picture number 2, I like that picture because it seems like my daughter. I think when I saw a child, I always think in my daughter. So in this picture, probably the girls are learning making a recipe, and they are mixing some ingredients because they look very interested in what they are doing. Probably maybe they are sisters or cousins, or probably twins, the girl number 1 and the number 2. And it looks like they are in their house and having learning time together. And that's all, teacher. I don't know what to say.
Actually, you spoke the double of time. You spoke for 2 minutes. So the speaking part, then no problem. My suggestions here would be, when you guys describe or work on this part of the oral exam with the pictures, always start with the obvious. Start with what you see. Okay, I see 2 boys and they're doing this, and then describe what you see, the physical elements, and then you can elaborate more and describing why. This is why I put those questions on top, why they might be doing these things together, how do you think they might be feeling, etc. But first, start with the physical things, okay? And my suggestion, Jasmine, is you can speak a lot because you spoke in 2 minutes. Just try to do it more fluently. Okay, don't think too much. Just say one sentence after the other so that you don't take much time. Okay, and you can say everything you said, but in 1 minute. Okay,
And it's correct that I mix my feelings with the picture, or I need to just talk about the picture?
no, yes,
sometimes
you can do that, no problem. You can mix what you feel, but it's okay to describe what you see in the actual picture and then what you believe or what you feel. Okay. All right, let's do this activity again. Armando, please choose 2 pictures. Remember, the idea is, it says, talk about 2 of these 3 pictures on your own for a minute. Okay.
Okay, I can see 5 people. They are skiing. The weather is really complicated. I think there is a storm, and I can see a little place so far. Maybe they want to arrive there. I imagine that they are passing a very bad time because the storm arrived before that they talked, and they have a challenge to arrive at the house. And in the second, I can see a guitar and a drums and another instrument. They are in a studio. They are recording a new album, I think. They look happy, and I think there are many people watching them because they are doing the things very well, and is their pastime.
Okay. Why might the people be doing these things together?
Oh, yes. In the first one, I think that they went to look for food, and for that they are together, maybe. And in the second one is because they are practicing music.
Okay. Okay, Gloria, imagine your candidate B. So the same pictures, but in which situation do you think the people benefit most from being together?
I would say both, but if I have to choose, I would say the one in which they are practicing music.
Okay, why?
Well, because, as Armando said, in the other one, the weather seems to be an issue, and in the other one, they are just hanging out and chilling, and I think that ice. So that's why I think they get more benefit from it. And besides music, music is always something that helps people relax, and sometimes it helps you connect with yourself and with other people. So that's why I think it would be more beneficial. That's a goal.
Okay, thank you. Now, Letty, imagine you are candidate B, you just heard Armando, and then I ask you, I like you to compare, well, no, I want you to tell me how students can benefit from doing these different activities and how helpful the activities might be in preparing them for their future lives.
According to Armando's answers? Or
No, I mean, using the same pictures.
okay. Okay. Just can you repeat the question, please?
Mhm. How students can benefit from doing these different activities and how helpful the activities might be in preparing them for their future lives.
Okay, with the same picture, right?
Yeah.
So I choose.
You can use all of the pictures, no problem.
Okay.
Because the question, what I want you guys to see is the question or this part of the exam, one person describes the pictures and another answers a question from the pictures.
Okay. Well, it seems that spending time together, it doesn't matter how your age, it's beneficial, right? For example, the kids together, the kids, they learn how several skills. They develop a friendship. No? The same as in the second picture, with the guys playing instruments. They also develop a good relation and a strong bonds, I think, bonds.
One.
And of course, this prepares for life. It helps to face or endure a difficult situation like in the third picture. And it's, of course, beneficial at several ways. First, I think confidence. It makes you feel confident and trust in others' skills and complete and feel that you are part of that team.
Okay, thank you, Letty. This was actually a very good answer for a very difficult question.
Yeah, it was difficult.
It
what
was
should I
a
say?
difficult question. So my suggestion for this part, when your partner starts describing the pictures, you observe the pictures, just listen to the person, but also start thinking on what they can ask you. Usually, if it's people spending time together, they will ask you, what are the benefits? How can they benefit from the activity, or what is most useful, usually, okay? Very good. This is the part 2. Any questions in part 2? Nope.
Teacher, yes, I have a question.
Yes.
It's bad to take few seconds to organize our ideas. So to keep quiet for some seconds is bad. You as an examiner, you are going to punish the students if they do spend time. And the other question is, if we ask them to repeat the question, is bad?
It's not that it's bad when you ask to repeat the question, but it might lower the points a little. But if you didn't understand, it's necessary, okay? Sometimes, not always, it depends on the exam, but sometimes we will tell you, you have 1 minute, observe the pictures for a minute, and then talk for a minute. So sometimes you will be given 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or a minute to organize. But if they don't give you that time, then it's better if you just start describing. This is why
you ask us to describe the obvious.
Yes, first the obvious while the rest is coming to mind. Okay.
Teacher.
Yes, Jasmine.
And when we are doing this part of the test, we are not alone. So we are with another.
You're with another student.
Okay. In a room or
usually in a room, yes. And you have the 2 examiners sitting there, and sometimes you have 1 in the back or 2 in the back, depending on how big.
There are 2 or 3 people observing.
Yes.
Interaction.
I remember when I took these exams many years ago, I had 5 people, 2 in front And sometimes they say, so I don't know if it's still the same, but sometimes they mention this to make you nervous. They say, my name is this, and this is my partner, and we will be your oral examiners. And the person to your right is going to be writing down all of your mistakes. And then people panic, you know? And the two people at the back are just witnesses of the process. So that the max of people you can have are 5. Okay. But now, because of the COVID, things are changing. Okay, so you can have less or only 2, because we believe in not having so crowded rooms, right?
They want us to to be nervous.
A little bit.
They don't want it to give us a certification or something like that.
It's part of the process, because when people are too relaxed, sometimes the language is also very relaxed. And if you're nervous, you're thinking of structures and many things. So it's also a good thing.
Teacher. Well, I ask you because as I said, I'm going to have the Eagle aim test next weekend, and if I pass, I need to I have to present a resolution of
That's
a
the
problem.
Senegal, right?
Yeah.
You're taking it in base of the Acuerdo 82, something like that? Okay.
If I pass, this is the writing exam, and then I'm going to have the oral test. But I need to, in that test, I'm going to resolve or something, a problem or something like that, in front of a synodal. I don't know how to say it in English.
Yes, because in this one, I believe you're talking about the one that grants you the licenciatura in English. Yes, so it's like presenting your case and defending your opinion. Like when you finish the career, they want to simulate that.
As a thesis?
Something like that. And you have to defend, you know, your point of view or your research. There's what is the name of the article? I don't remember. 82?
No me acuerdo, teacher. I don't remember.
There's one, for example, if you were to have a different career, there's an exam by Senegal that grants you the licenciatura in English in case you're an accountant or something. If you prove enough years of experience and enough level of English, but they give you a test.
What's the name of the test?
Eagle Inc.
Eagle as eagle?
No.
Can you put it on the chat?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's like this. Eagle. Is that okay, Jasmine?
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. Like.
Yeah. Something like that. It's an interesting exam.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
So okay, here I have sorry, Adel?
Thank you, I say.
Yes. So here I have some other pictures to practice this part. Okay. But I think we already know the drill. So let's do 2 more pairs. Okay, one will be A, one will be B. And in B, I'm going to ask you different questions, not to describe. Okay. So in this case, let me see who are Eli. Okay, you are A, so you describe the pictures, and then Armando, you will answer a question about the pictures. Okay. So, okay, Areli, please, you have a minute to describe these pictures.
Okay, the first picture, I can see a girl. Maybe she's at the high school. She's studying. It seems to be a little library. I don't know if it's in her school. It seems to be a school library because they had labels to identify the books. And she's studying for an exam. in the afternoon. She seems quite concentrated and looking for information, specific information in a book to make her homework or to study for an exam, as I said. And the second picture, I cannot identify it well, but it seems to be a conferencist. It seems to be an auditorium or a big stadium, but it has people there. It's a meeting from a lot of people, and they are organized in different tables. He seems to be a concertist or I don't know if it's a concertist, but because I'm only able to see the computer and a microphone. Maybe he's showing some slides. So I think that he's a conferencist and he's talking about some important issues for those people or community there. I don't know if it's my side, but I cannot see the image. It's very well, teacher.
Okay, very good. The time is okay. It was more than a minute, 1:40. And
I don't know. I cannot understand the picture. Maybe I would have.
Don't worry, the pictures will be bigger and physical on the test.
Okay.
So suggestion here, conferencist doesn't really exist. You can say lecturer. Let me put it on the chat.
Okay.
Or speaker. Okay.
Lecturer. Thank
or
you.
speaker. Right. Now, Armando, you're going to answer a question. How can students benefit from doing these different activities?
Okay. In the first one, it's necessary that the students study every day and they know the library, because in the library you can find a lot of books, and the books, we can use the books for learning new things, and the students have to know that. In the second, listen a good speech about one specialist person is excellent, because you can see not only the information that he provides, you can learn the way that he can express the feelings or the ideas, and you can do better the thing when you present something in front of a group. And I think that's all.
Okay, good, Armando. You almost got to the 1 minute part. Okay, it was 45. So try to speak a little bit more. Okay, let's do one more pair. So Ismael, are you here? Ismael, can you participate?
Yeah, what?
Yes, okay, Ismael. So you're going to be student A. You have 3 pictures. You're going to describe 2 of them in a minute. And Constanza, you're going to be student B, and I will ask you a question, okay? All right, Ismael, you have the 3 pictures on the screen. Please start.
And the first picture is for me a woman that that is studying a book, or for example, for an exam, maybe the exam of English, and have a lot of books around here. And the second picture is a man that maybe singing or something like that, and have a lot of people around him. Or 2 is an exposition, and I don't know more.
Okay, so you almost got to the 1 minute mark, okay? So suggestion, just try to elaborate more, describe what you see, the obvious that you see in the pictures. And then if you don't have anything else to talk about, try to describe the feeling that you sense from the picture, or what you imagine it's going on, or what's happening, okay? All right, Constanza, you're student B. How helpful might the activities be in preparing them for their future lives?
Well, I think, hi, teacher. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. How helpful might these activities be in preparing them for their future lives?
Okay, well, we can express ourselves better. We can express all our feelings and that we are looking at the pictures. We can learn how to watch deeply all the things we see in order to learn more vocabulary so we can express or we can say the things we saw. For our students, maybe for beginners, it will be harder, but they can oh, I'm sorry, teacher. I don't know how much.
Don't worry, don't worry. I can give you a suggestion. See, this question,
Okay.
it's aiming at how beneficial and how helpful these activities that you see here can be for preparing your students for their future lives. So what activities are here? Reading, a lecture, and maybe working in teams to make projects. So you talk about those three activities. Okay. Okay.
I understood that the dynamic that we are making here. So explaining the pictures.
No, in this case, not anymore. You don't explain the pictures anymore. You just answer the question in what's the benefit from the activities. Then my suggestion is think of what activities. In number one is reading, and number two would be lecturing or giving an exposition. In number three, handcrafts, projects, working in teams. Okay, the same happens here. What activities? Maybe doing extreme sports or skiing, playing together, and playing musical instruments. But those would be the activities, okay? So try to focus in this question on how these activities can prepare your students for their lives in the future. How can reading be beneficial? How can preparing students with expositions at school can be useful in the future? Or how can working in teams be good? Okay. All right, let's do the next part, okay, part 3. Let me read how the part 3 is. It says, well, interlocutor, it's the oral examiner, okay? It says, now, I allow you to talk about something together for about 2 minutes. Then it says 3 minutes for groups of 3, but check, I allow you to talk about something together for about 2 minutes. Here are some things that people often have to make decisions about and questions for you to discuss. First, you have some time to look at the task. It says, place part 3 booklet, open a task 21 in front of the candidate and allow 15 seconds to start thinking, okay? Now, talk to each other about what people might have to consider when making these decisions. Oh, oops. So here, what they present you is 2 things. They give you a booklet with the task, okay? And you have situations on which people usually have to make decisions, okay? And what you have to do is talk to each other, talk to your peer about what people might have to consider when making this decision. Now, the important part here is don't try to consume all of the time yourself. This is a two-way conversation, okay? If you have a partner, don't get nervous. If you have a student or a partner that doesn't really speak, you don't get affected by the way he or she speaks, no. But if I have, for example, Areli and Leti, and Areli starts talking and she never lets Leti talk, then that is bad on Areli, because it's supposed to be a conversation. It's supposed to be a two-way discussion. I, as an oral examiner, have to see that you are trying to include the other person. I have to see you're trying to make the other person talk. If I see that you're trying to make the other person talk, but the other person doesn't, then it's not your problem. Okay? So this part is very important. Any questions in this part?
Can you give us an example? Maybe not a booklet, but can you tell us about a topic, maybe we can practice and to talk?
Yes. For example, you can have pictures. You can have a couple deciding on flights to book. You can have another picture with parents and a son deciding on what university with university brochures. And you can have, I don't know, a couple deciding on what to buy, a house or a flat. Those are examples of making decisions. So then you see those. And then I would start saying, for example, well, I think in these three situations, it's very important to have the opinion of your partner on what to decide. What do you think, Leti? And then Leti would say, yes, for example, in picture number one, buying a house, you cannot make the decision on your own because you won't live alone in that house. You need to ask your spouse what he or she thinks and what their dreams are, for example. And then Leti would have to throw the ball at me and say, the same happens in picture B. It's not so easy for adolescents to choose on their university. Maybe they need the help of their parents. What do you think? And then I answer, oh, you're right. Why? Because their parents have experience and because they went through this situation before and so on. Something like that. It's like throwing a ball. Leti, you're raising your hand?
Yeah. Well, I have a question because I know that Cambridge changed the format of this test because I have like the previous format, and in that part, which is part number 3, in the previous part, I'm asking because I don't know if this was a change. They used to give like this, like a diagram.
Sometimes pictures, sometimes it's diagrams.
Okay.
It depends on the
yeah.
exam. I think I have one. Give me a second. If not, Leti, maybe you can show us the picture. What year is the book, Leti?
Yeah, this is an old book. It's from 2015.
No, but it helps. They normally don't change much. But yes, sometimes they show you pictures. Sometimes they show you diagrams.
Can I see your book, Leti?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's...
Here I have a diagram. Sorry, I didn't include it here.
Can you see it?
Yes, advanced trainer, Cambridge. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know that they make some changes in the format of the test, but I'm not sure what changes on which part.
Give me a
Maybe
sec.
it was this part. I don't know.
Okay, give me a sec so that I can share my screen again.
Oh, me cogí las patitas. Ah.
Okay. All right, let me share this. Do you see the screen? Okay, so if you don't get pictures, you get a diagram like this. Remember, the person would say, Here are some things that people often have to make decisions about, and a question for you to discuss. So you have 15 seconds to look at this, okay? People have to make decisions when choosing a university, when starting a family, when moving to another country, when getting married and finding a job. What is the question? What might people have to consider when making these decisions? Okay, then one of you starts, but the most important part here is you throw the ball at the other person. You say, what do you think? Do you agree? Or yeah, words or expressions that are going to make the other person participate. Then the person expresses his or her opinion, and then he or she throws the ball at you again, and so on. The most important part here, it says that you have to talk about something together. That's the most important part. Okay? So you can expect pictures or a diagram like this. Okay, remember you will be given 15 seconds to check, and then you start. If you see the other person doesn't start, then you start. Okay, how would you start here? Let's do this one. Okay, I'm going to give you, Gloria and Areli, 15 seconds. Look at this. I tell you when the time starts, and one of you starts discussing. Remember, it's a conversation. 15 seconds. Okay.
Okay, I cannot see Gloria, is there?
Oh, okay.
Okay, may I start?
Yes, start, and then you help for Armando, okay?
Okay. So making decision, it's very complicated in different times in our lives. According to our stages, this part of our life, it's complicated. When we want to choose a university, we need to focus on what we want to do in the future. We have to consider our time, our family, and because this is going to take us to another part, that it's find a job and to maybe move to another place. What do you think, Armando?
Yes, choosing a university is a lot of aspects that we have to take, because sometimes we take the decision without thinking in the details. The expenses are very important, because some students cannot finish the university because they don't want to pay in the middle of the career the payment that they have to do. And starting the family, what do you think about starting a family?
Well, I think that it's the most important decision, because it's when you want to get married and to have a family and to have kids, you have to decide according to your spouse expectations, and you, of course, if you want to share time with your family, or if you are going to raise your kids directly, you, or you are going to hire somebody to do this job. And what do you think about finding a new job?
Oh, it's very complicated, because sometimes you have something in your mind, but when you are looking for, you can find different challenges that you didn't take in count. I don't know exactly the word, and you have to change your ideas. You cannot find exactly the job that you consider. What do you think about getting married?
Well, as I told you, starting a family, getting married, it's a decision that sometimes we are pressured, and we think that we are in a hurry, and we do not have to take the decision without considering, as you told, the details. We have to check if the other's expectations are the same as ours, because we are going to plan not only a project, we are going to plan a life. So I think that it's a very important decision. Do you agree?
Yes, exactly. We have to look for someone who fit with your ideas, because he or she have to improve your life, or we have to improve your lives together, the partner and ourselves. So it's very complicated to get exactly the person that you need in order to be happy all the life. What do you think about moving to another country?
Okay, moving to another country must consider the language, maybe the culture, the distance between your family and the expectations of life you have. We need to consider the weather also, because people that has moved to another part of the world, they have to consider food, weather, maybe the way they socialize, if they know people or not, because maybe they are so sociable and they move to a country that it's not so, and it's hard for them to be used or to deal with those things. What do you think?
Yes, it's important to check too that if you can move with your family or alone, because if you move alone, it's very complicated. And if you go with your family, it's complicated, I think, because you have to look for a school and very good environment for your family, and all of these aspects that I think is really, really complicated to find in some place.
Excellent. Okay, so this is something very similar to what you will have to do the day of the test. It's like, as I said, throwing the ball at the other person. The suggestions for this part is try not to give monologues, okay? Talk for 25, 30 seconds, and then ask the person his or her opinion, and then again, okay? You don't want to be the only one talking. That gives you less points. Also try to avoid discussions. It's not about he's right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and he's wrong. No, it's just about expressing opinion. You can disagree respectfully. Yes, you can respectfully disagree, but don't fall into unnecessary discussions. And as you can see, you have, for example, here, 5 different things to talk about. The best bet is to go one by one, because then you have more to talk about. Okay, as you can see, it's not too difficult. This is part 3.
Teacher,
Okay.
in this part, I
Mhm.
think that that practice is a great key, because when I applied for past exams, I used to call my friends in the US, or I called Gloria, and I started talking about anything about the celebrations, the earthquake, whatever you have, because all the vocabulary I know that it's here inside, but you cannot manage as well as you want. So we need to practice and practice and practice. I remember that the week that I apply an exam before, I speak all day about an hour, because we are used to think Spanish, and we have a lot of vocabulary, I know, in English, of course, but we need to practice and to have it in the tongue of our tip. And one of the tips that I saw, it's that we, as you say, we don't have to discuss. And I have some ideas that I forgot in this moment, but we need to say, I really appreciate your point of view, or thank you for sharing that. And so another one that I wrote is, I appreciate your point of view, but I have not seen, or I have not seen from that perspective. So you have not to discuss, you have to agree, and you have to be cordial, maybe, if you are not in the same way with the other person. And I think that these clue words will give us chance to think for our own ideas.
Yeah, that's the idea. linking expressions, and instead of asking, what about you, what about you, what about you, the whole time, you can try and find different expressions. So what I'm going to do during the week is send you expressions you can use in this part.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, teacher.
To agree, to disagree, and to ask the other person for his or her opinion. All right.
Yes.
And finally, part 4. The part 4 lasts 5 minutes, 8 minutes if it's in groups of 3, but usually for 2 people, 5 minutes. This, you will only have to answer questions, okay? This is what we see. Use the following questions in order as appropriate. And as you can see, we ask a lot why not? What do you think? Did you agree? How about you? Etc. Because you have 2 candidates there. Okay, questions related to activity 3. For example, why do you think some people find it harder to make decisions than others? Do you think countries should work together to solve environmental problems? Why? Why not? How do you think young people can be helped to take on responsibilities, etc. Okay, so what we're going to do is, again, work on breakout rooms in pairs. Please take a picture of this part where it says part 4 to discuss it, okay, in teams. Because as Areli said, the best thing we can do for this part is practice, okay? So I'm going to create breakout rooms. Let me, I'm going to recreate them to change the people, okay? So we will have this time, I think Laura is having a lot of issues.
Yes,
Okay.
she has already written.
Yeah. Who did you work with in the last breakout room, Areli?
Armando and
Armando.
Bere, but Bere is not there.
So this time you have Areli, Constanza, and Bere.
Okay.
Okay. Breakout room number 2. It's going to be Armando, Ismael, Armando and Ismael, and in the breakout room 3, it's going to be Jasmine and Letty. Jasmine and Letty, did you work together last time? No? Okay,
No.
Then you work together now. Okay, did you take your picture?
Yeah.
Yes, all right. So I'm going to give you some minutes and then I'll close the breakout rooms to continue here. Try to cover all the questions, take turns and ask why not. Also, you can use the prompts, okay? Okay, the groups are created. Can you just join them, please? Hello, welcome back. Did you finish?
Oh.
I sent you guys a message, but nobody replied.
Yes, I replied. I wrote in the chat. And I said, we have not finished yet.
Sorry. Okay. So how did you find the activity?
It was hard, in fact, because as I told you in previous classes, I felt like Miss Universe when they are talking about environmental issues and social and I don't know. And in that moment, maybe you have the correct answer, but a lot of emotions and nervous. I think that we start thinking or saying things that maybe are not part of the speech you have already planned. So, and because of the topics, maybe today you ask us about environmental issues, and tomorrow the test is going to talk about pet mistreatment, or I don't know, or kids racing, or so it could be
exactly, or some of other exams ask for what facilities are better to or is best to invest on communities. What do you think of the traffic in your community? What are the pros and cons of your community? If your community had money to invest on something, what would be better? A library or a sports center, things like that. Okay.
in one exam, asked me about schools nearby my house, and I say, oh my god, what's the name of the school that it's in the next street? So you need to invent the name, or you need to remember the things that maybe you are obvious near you or near your community, and then you don't have the correct word.
Yes, and sometimes you don't need to give very specific answers like Lincoln School is behind my house. No, but you can mention there are several private schools that are around your house, but also some governmental schools and the differences, something like that. I mean, don't get nervous if you don't remember the name, or as Arely said, if you don't remember, then you can just, how can I say, improvise or come up with a name. They don't know where you live, so they won't know. Okay. But as Arely mentioned before, the best bet you have here is to practice. So my goal for the oral part was to show you what it is like, how or what you can expect to see in the different parts, so that on that day, you know what's coming. Okay, you know, oh, in part 3, it's a discussion of the two of us, but in part 2, one describes the picture and the other an answers, etc. Okay, so as you can see, it's not too difficult. As I mentioned before, the oral part, I believe, is something the majority of you can handle just fine, no problems. Okay, Jasmine, you're raising your hand.
Yes, teacher, I think it's important to the time you take to answer. I don't know, with Letty, I don't know, she talks so slow and calm, and I felt comfortable with her, because sometimes I feel the pressure and blah 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 blah, and I what to say, how to organize my ideas. But with her, she's like so calm, and I feel comfortable with her. I hope that my other foreigners
Are like that.
feel like that, to feel, to make me feel in that way. So
Thank you.
so,
I have a lot of practice.
It has to do with the personality too. Even in Spanish, some people are calm, relaxed when they give opinions, and some others are just like, oh. So it has to do with personality. One of the things I've seen a lot in Letty, and it's something I applaud, is she reads a lot.
Yeah.
She reads a lot, and she's a writer. And I was checking the homework you sent me, Letty, and I can see the improvement, which is very big. And I can also see some hints of this person writes, okay, because you're a writer. So yes, Jasmine, when you're saying Letty's calm, it's because normally writers organize their concepts and ideas before they speak, right, Letty?
Well, yeah, basically that, but I have a lot of practice I have a friend, a Japanese friend, and I have a meeting every week for 1 hour, and his English is a little, she's kind of in pre-intermediate level. So I usually need to explain and speak slowly with her, but at the same time trying to use like a mix of vocabulary to increase his level. So it has been 3 years since I have this meeting every week. That's why it's basically that. And
Practice, as I said.
practice. I'm writing.
Exactly.
I try to write as much as possible. I used to do it by myself. So every week I write at least 5 or 10 pieces of papers. And I have a friend who check the grammar and the spelling. So it's the only reason, because I practice a lot.
And
Letty,
also,
oh,
you always
sorry.
have these people you can practice with. Really mentioned I practice with Gloria. Gloria has a really good speaking ability. So if you have friends, English speaking friends, and you want to discuss about anything, you can even Google topics for discussions and then talk. That's the only thing that makes you speak more fluent, and that helps you. All right. Or you can find pictures at home and you can use the stopwatch in your cell phone to check how much time it takes for you to describe them. You can also do it on your own. You could even record yourself with the cell phone and then listen and say, oh, right, I mispronounced this word, or I didn't use the correct tense, because it's different when you're saying it than when you hear it. Okay, so those are some techniques. If you don't have people, you can use your cell phone.
Teacher, but sometimes, for example, I noticed that people sometimes speak in a different way in English than in Spanish. and I've told a friend that I am an English teacher for teenagers, and I need to open my mouth like this so they can watch the pronunciation. And sometimes I feel like Sofia Vergara when she tries to speak, and I think that she's like doing like this. And I get confused because I think that my English is, I have a good pronunciation, but I don't sound such as Constanza, for example. No, she has a very nice pronunciation, or Gloria, she's more fluent. But I think that I feel like Sofia Vergara speaking in English, so I try to to do that.
The main problem that I see with Sofia Vergara, which is I love her acting in Modern Family.
Yes.
The main problem I see is that when you think of structures in Spanish and you translate them in your head into English, it's going to sound odd or a little bit weird, or maybe not as natural. That's the only problem
and of course, Gloria told me, no, that she's a character, no? Sofia Vergara, the way she acts and the way she speaks, it's part of her personality or her character, the way she sells herself in the English market, no? Mm-hmm. She would not be Sofia Vergara if she speaks as all the other Americans, right?
Exactly.
So, but sometimes I feel that, so I need to practice more and more, and then I become more fluent. That's why
we should do a conversation club.
Yes,
like
yes,
every
Letty,
weekend or no, every
Friday we have a video conference.
Yes, please. I need that.
You guys have each other's number, you have the contacts, you're all English.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
That's a good idea.
But
that is a great idea, really.
Yes, Letty, I support you.
I would do that.
Yeah, you have time, teacher, you can join us. That would be nice.
Just let me know.
Yes.
Letty, invite your friend, Letty, your Japanese friend.
That will be at night because it's different time.
A different hour.
At 2 a.m. in the morning.
Like
12
hours.
So when I speak with her, here is 11, and in Japan it's like 2 p.m. for the next day. So it's kind of difficult. But yeah. If you want, we can try to like a group in WhatsApp, and I don't know, maybe not every week because it will be difficult, but maybe every twice a week could be.
Maybe. All right, guys, excellent that you had that idea. So now, before we continue, hopefully the speaking part is not that hard. Now you know how to manage it. And when we come back after the break, we're going to check the listening part.
Teacher, can I have a picture of the last
This?
slide? Yes.
Yes.
Just- I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we will check how the listening parts are, but most importantly, I'm going to present to you the listening test because we haven't practiced on that before. So today we're having a listening test, okay? All right, so eat something and I'll see you back in 30 minutes, okay?
Yes.